I'll start. All right. Hey guys, welcome to an ATOG City Limits Legacy matchup. We've got Grixis Delver versus Turbo Depths, which is an interesting matchup. I think it generally favors the Depths player. What do you think? Who do you like in this matchup, Quinn?
I don't know. I think it's hard not to like Grixis Delver against anything in Legacy at this point. I think it's shown to be the most reliable, safest choice you can be making.
Yeah. Basically, 50% against pretty much every matchup. But if Turbo Depths does manage to land a Merilage, it can be pretty problematic for the Devler player.
Do they have any way to interact with a Merilage? They can just block it.
Basically you need a flyer.
They do have Wasteland to blow up the combo.
Yeah, that can basically stall out the combo for a round or two. Essentially, from there, the Dark Depths player has to rebuild with one of their tutors, Sylvan Scrying, or a Crop Rod. But yeah, that can kind of be a little bit of a boon to the Delver player. It looks like he led off with a Gitaxian Probe, saw that Aaron had Stage, plays a Polluted Delta, and looks like he's going to go Pondering off of that. Pretty standard stuff. Double Cantrip turn 1. So
this is a spicy brew of the safest thing you could be doing.
Yeah. Turbo Xerox at its best.
Do you have a thought on Patrick Sullivan's hate for the card Ponder?
No, I haven't heard this.
Did you see this?
What is this about Patrick Sullivan?
There was a match, I think he was commentating last weekend, and someone plays a Ponder, I think in a Grixis Delver mirror, and he's like, I hate this card so much. He's like, oh, look, we're not advancing the board at all. I'm just increasing my draws by a small percentage. It's like,
I don't know, that sounds like a burn player talking there.
That is maybe fair.
Ponder is a pretty impactful card in the format, so I don't know. I have there's a soft spot in my heart for that. Looks like they're having a little fun messing around with the life totals.
They're pushing the life totals off the screen. Transparency and Magic.
Swamp into Thoughtseize. What do we think about that versus fetching Bayou? I guess he's trying to protect himself.
Play around the Wasteland probably, which seems like a safe bet because it's right there.
Yeah.
So what do you think of not... I mean, so do you think he dazes here? I mean, he didn't, but...
Daze the Thoughtseize? Is that what you would do?
Well, I can't... I'm trying to see what else.
Because all these guys cantrips after that.
Yeah, I guess that's not worth doing.
Yeah, if he was holding some tech, like maybe a Pyromancer, I would consider dazing that to protect, or turn 1 Delver would probably hit the board immediately. But
yeah, I don't really play or enjoy playing blue, and so when I do get the opportunity to daze, I pretty much always pull the trigger.
Gotcha. Yeah,
but
oftentimes it's hard to say that's really wrong.
I guess my question is, and this is where I think I have trouble, and where I know I have trouble with daze, is it seems like it gets really bad if you don't just fire it off like your first chance or first 2 chances you get. It's hard to, especially because everything in Turbo Depths costs like 1 mana, if it costs mana at all.
Yeah, I don't know. This is why I like Stifle and Delver decks a lot, is because you can play a Wasteland, Stifle, and keep your opponent's land count down, and then your dazes stay good longer.
That makes sense. Yeah,
and this is a no Stifle build.
No Stifles, I don't think.
Yeah.
He did not. We have a One of a Braid. That's pretty much the spiciest card in the deck.
Yeah, One of a Braid is interesting. So, because right now on the source, Turbo Depths is a deck to beat. What about, do you know if Lands is, either of you guys?
On the source, I have no idea. that beats me. But
Because I guess my question is, why not, in a deck where you're playing 4 Force, 2 Spell Pierce, 4 Days, why not a bounce spell instead of, and maybe, again, this is like the Storm player in me is like, play Echoing Truth, screw them.
Why not have, like, the the safety card, the safety bounce spell? Snake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in that, if you're worried about Merit Lage decks, that's like you can kill Merit Lage by bouncing it, but you can't, like, destroy it with anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder how much of the meta Merit Lage makes up, really.
Yeah,
because I think in this deck you're just trying to, like, I mean, you're the tempo strategy, right? So you're just trying to, like, mess with a few of their setup cards long enough to, like, get ahead to the point where they can actually, like, punish you. That's why I actually think that Depths has an advantage in the matchup, is because you can tempo them like he's doing right now. Like this is a fantastic tempo play, but still, like, he's gonna make a 20-20 all at once, and he's gonna kill with one attack. So it's like you can tempo them for a while, but you're not also killing them in, like, one fell stroke. So it leaves a little bit of, like the Dark Depths player always has a little bit of a foot in the door to kind of just say, "Oops, I win."
That's true. That's a fast combo for you. Is, eventually, if there's not enough pressure on him, because he's still at 17. There's not a ton of pressure. There's a death right on board.
Yeah.
And if he just keeps playing into it, eventually this will get through if that pressure isn't there.
Yeah, we haven't seen Mike's hand
in
a minute. He's basically run through all the spells that we saw him holding. So I think he's on to 3 cards right now versus Aaron's, like, full grip. So
I think it's a little less intuitive here, but I actually kind of like the Abrade in this matchup.
Yeah.
It kills Expedition Map, and it kills Pithing Needle on Wasteland.
That is very fair.
That is good, yeah.
Whereas I have also seen something like Vapor Snag in this slot, but I think Abrade in general has more utility against the field.
Does Abrade go against the face, or does that just kill a creature?
It's 3 damage to a creature or destroy an artifact.
Gotcha. It's pretty solid.
So it can also kill a Hex Mage.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So he's got the Wasteland answer for the stage. Gonna drain end of turn.
Notable that he can't actually kill the stage with a Wasteland here, because Aaron can copy his basic Swamp in response.
Oh, interesting. Who do we? I mean, I guess the Delver players definitely looks a little bit favored right now until Aaron gets another. He needs another land minimum, or a Dark Depths and then a Hex Mage. So basically, he needs 2 more permanents on board before he can go.
Yeah, I think at this point the Delver player is pretty favored. Once you get past maybe turn 3, where Aaron can sort of just go off out of the blue without having to worry about too much interaction, I think the Delver player is likely to win at that point.
Mm-hmm. Dryad Arbor, an interesting piece of technology. Able to crop rot into that in response to an edict effect to save your 20-20. Here comes a swing with the Merfolk down to 12. So we got a 4-turn clock. So to my non-combo eyes, it seems like Aaron needs to kind of run through the Wasteland and then also have something after that. So, right, Abrade's pretty good.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Abrade is pretty good.
Getting to use your spot removal as a Wasteland is
hard to argue.
Yeah,
if you're a Delver player.
2-minute LD is pretty good. Even even in Legacy.
So I think what Aaron's got to do here is put the combo together and then win.
Yeah, he simply assembles his combo and wins. Do we know if it's not common for the Depths player to play Wasteland, so he can't just like force this? Can he?
No, sometimes they play like a Ghost Quarter.
Yes, he is playing a Ghost Quarter.
All right, we got or the Dark Depths on board now.
Okay. So if he goes for the combo in response, Mike is going to Wasteland the stage, not step.
And he can't Wasteland the Depths because then he just combos off in response. So
Yeah.
we're kind of stuck in a.
So I think if Aaron can
Sure.
assemble another land plus crop rotation, he can crop rotate for Ghost Quarter the Wasteland to force Mike to use the Wasteland, and then in response to the Wasteland, he can copy Dark
I
Depths.
think that's the best.
All right.
Oh,
Double Wasteland
shit.
changes that math hard.
Son of a.
That
bitch.
might have been like best draw. Like that really.
So
What he can do is, I don't know. Aaron just needs more lands in play. Because what would be sweet here is,
a second stage.
yeah, second stage basically. Yeah.
He's
Right.
not playing Not of This World, is he?
No, he plays.
That would be sick.
His protection is Sylvan Safekeeper.
Which I believe only protects creatures.
Creatures,
So that's
yep.
only good for Merit Lady herself.
Is it her?
I think so.
Verified? We. Oh wow!
Okay.
So he's crop rotating the Dark Depths
This is some spicy.
because he's got a replacement
Yeah.
in hand, so that's fine. What is he gonna go get? Let's take a look. He's got Bog, doesn't do anything. He's gonna go get the Ghost Quarter probably, or no. He's got Sajiri Step. That's another thing, kind of like a Sylvan Safekeeper, only protects a creature.
Yeah.
I think he was maybe trying to bait the Wasteland on the
Yeah.
Thespian stage.
Did they just scoop it up?
Yeah, at this
All
point,
right.
he figures out that he's dead.
Aaron has admitted defeat.
Double Wasteland is
Grixis
good.
Delver up one game.
Okay,
over
so
our hero Turbo Depths.
we've got some sideboard tech. Looks like from Aaron's side, we're looking at 4 Abrupt Decay, 4 Sphere, 3 Sylvan, or Sphere Resistance, I should say. 3 Sylvan Library, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Caracas, and 1 Pithing Needle. I like 4 Abrupt Decay, just to get past any of the counters, and take off some stuff.
I feel like the decay is probably more for like, well,
Although, I don't know, yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point. Because
they're
there's
not
4
like
creatures that
permanents, he's
can't be
really
hit by it.
yeah,
There's 8 creatures that.
they can, and that just buys him time. Like I think what he wants to do here is be faster.
I think he'll probably bring in the 4th Pithing Needle.
Yeah.
I could also
This-
see him possibly bringing in the Surgical Extractions.
Yeah.
If he can get rid of Mike's Wastelands,
Yeah, that's a
that
good
will
point.
put him in a good position.
Ooh.
What is he named with Pithing Needle against Grixis Delver?
Wasteland.
Oh yeah, duh.
Or you could also name Deathrite Shaman if you wanted to just slow him down. But
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, that's true.
On Mike's side, I think that the matchup gets a lot better for him because he gets a Diabolic Edict, he gets a Submerge, he gets 2 Surgical Extractions of his own.
Gets an Ancient Grudge because
he gets a price of progress.
I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good Price is though because Aaron is in a game that's going well for him. Aaron is never going to have more than 4 lands. Right?
Yeah, he's
that's
just
true.
gonna go for it like immediately.
Cabal Therapy, which I don't know if you really care about. Maybe.
No, well, I think the problem with something like therapy, well, I guess you could get some like tutors and stuff.
It also depends how much Mike wants to board out. I think you take out Lightning Bolt and
Yeah.
a Braid and
Yeah, all that.
maybe some number of the soft counters. He might leave in Dazes.
What do you think about True Name
I'm not
Nemesis?
sure.
It seems kind of slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily good specifically in this matchup, but I don't know how many threats you can afford to take out because You're trying
He's
to
gotta
just
put a
win off of
clock on
tempo,
him.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Worked out for him last game, so I don't know if you mess with success. Submerge is just a bounce, right? If your opponent has a forest, you get to bounce a dude.
Yep. I
pretty
believe it's put it on top of their library, but
Gotcha.
against Merit Lage it doesn't matter.
It could be consequential against a Sylvan Safekeeper situation, because I don't know. There could be. I don't know if you would necessarily bounce a Safekeeper, but if he has an Edict and a Submerge, you have to like lead off
Yeah.
with. Well, I guess you'd lead off with Edict. So yeah, I guess there's probably not a situation where he runs into that, but.
Another card that's kind of interesting here actually is Collective Brutality.
Yeah, for sure.
It can kill a Hex Mage, it can strip a tutor, and it can actually bring Mike up to above 20.
That's
Ooh.
everything he wants.
Yeah.
All in one card.
It doesn't. Yeah. Same with. Yeah, so he has like the option to go for that play with Collective Brutality. Also, whenever he kills with Collective Brutality, he can then exile with. Does he have any green sources to exile with that? Yeah, Trop.
Yeah, he's a trap.
So he can get some life off of Death Right to kind of blank an attack, as it were.
Yeah, and that seems like a really silly play, but I think in a tempo matchup like this, where gaining life can buy you a whole turn, it's actually really relevant.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Looks like the Dark Depths player has kept a 7.
It looks like Mike's been shuffling a bunch. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like he mulligans.
Into...
Keeps it on top. Off with an Urborg. Into Thoughtseize.
Oh,
Probably one of the best turn ones for the Dark Depths player.
Can't argue with that. Okay, so what do we see? I can't see anything. All right. Well,
Paramag.
that's all sacked up.
So it looks like he left in Lightning Bolt, which is interesting.
I guess. Do you think
Tempo.
he's planning on using that for?
I mean, it could
Hex
be.
Mage,
It
or-
could be good against either Hex Mage or Sylvan Safekeeper because
Yeah.
you do have to kind of run through,
some
especially with the
creatures?
Safekeeper. Yeah, you have to kind of exhaust that resource.
Yeah, it could be that his plan is just grind through all of Aaron's stuff and get there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think my take would be Death Right, but it looks like he's taking Probe. He wants to keep stuff secret.
I think that's strong against Mulligan.
Yeah,
True.
that's fair.
Sure enough. Maybe trying to punish his opponent.
Well, and he had 2 fetches, so it's not like taking Death Right stalls his mana development that much.
Right.
True. Just feels like such a great card in the deck. Like he can play a turn 1 and get started on taking his opponent's life total down.
Oh yeah.
And it may also be, we don't know what Aaron brought in. If he brought in Abrupt Decays and he has one in hand and saw that Deathrite Shaman, he can just go for the 1-2 punch, and then Mike's just not going to have anything to do until he can cast that Gurmag Angler.
Dark Jabs. Dark.
Is this the turn 2?
This is the.
It's the
Ooh,
turn 2.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
So
I guess now we see if Mike.
Does he lose? I think he loses.
So given that, I think taking the probe makes a lot of sense. It's just
fewer
Just-
cards you get
yeah.
to see.
minimize the chance
That's the
that you
point.
have anything that matters.
And there we go.
And
Ooh,
we're going to
alright.
go 3.
Nice
Our
and quick.
hero Grixis, our hero Turbo Depths defeats evil Grixis Delver.
Wins on turn 2. Technically a turn 3 kill.
I think your opponent scooping is a win con. It's the stacks win con.
Yeah, no, it truly is.
So that's really the strength of this Merit Lage deck, right? Like, the Grixis Delver deck has a strong matchup, or at least a 50% matchup against almost everything in the field, but it does not have very much interaction for something like that.
Well, I think that's what's so cool about this deck is that okay, so it looks like he's bringing out the lightning bolts.
Yeah, he knows.
He learned.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I told you. I fucking told you guys.
It's gonna go a
You
little bit
doubted
spicier.
me.
I'm gonna be so excited if that ends up mattering.
Yeah, I really
I
hope
love
so.
that card.
Dude, if he's got like 3 lands in play, that's a bunch of damage.
That's a real hit, especially if he's been clocking.
So I think the coolest thing about Turbo Depths and lands by extension is that these like land based combos are so difficult to interact with. I mean, unless you're Pox and you play like a bunch of sinkholes or something. It's stupid, but like at that point, like
something awesome, something strictly cool.
I don't know, but like, or I mean, I don't know if you're like. Anyway, I admire that that there's you really have to jump through a bunch of hoops to mess with this combo.
Yeah, that's true. And we saw even there, like even if he had the Submerge in hand, the free bounce wouldn't have been turned on because Aaron just didn't even have a forest. So it's just, you're right. It's very difficult to interact with.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's an incredible strength of.
Mike wants to rip a Diabolic Edict off the top right now,
but we don't want him to do that. We want Turbo Depths to win.
Yeah, you're right. We want to see Turbo Dex completely axe the Civic.
Yeah.
The Honda Civic. All right, Scalding Tarn.
So what card would Turbo Depths be? Like, what car would it be?
Car?
Yeah. If Grixis Delver is a Honda Civic, what is...
I don't know, it feels like a rice rocket, maybe. Just like a... not even a car, just like...
It's just like a little motorcycle.
Just like explode off out of nowhere.
It's the thing that Elon Musk launched into space.
Oh, yeah.
The Android driving it or whatever.
Yeah, basically that.
So there we see the Ghost Quarter.
Nice, some good tech. So he's got the Safekeeper too, but he doesn't, and he's got the, alright, so he's got 2 maps, so he's got enough to get the combo.
Yeah.
Looks like he also has a stage. So, basically the redundant map would be for a second stage, presumably after a Wasteland or something like that.
Well, and allows if he dazes or whatever's the first one. Oh, son
man.
of a... Damn it. I hate this so
dirty.
much.
I can't even be mad about that though.
Yeah.
Cabal Therapy is
it's
such
only
a sick card.
Yeah, I love that card too.
Well, and again, the thing that makes this really difficult to interact with as a combo deck is he can't take the stage. Like, he can't take those combo pieces.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
So it's...
Land combos are pretty
The only thing that gets them is him to Turok.
Which is another all-star card.
Fuck that card.
So basically what you're saying is we should be playing Pox.
No, it's terrible. Like, I think if you want to go that hard in the paint, that like Pox is your answer to like meta against this sort of like fringy tier 1 1.5 deck, I think you super earned it.
Yeah, man. Hey, I've got
fighting back.
I have got a brew for you, let me tell you.
One thing I think is interesting is when we were talking about the sideboards, on Mike's side, I think we mentioned like probably over half of his sideboard. And what that suggests to me is just that this deck, the Grixis Delver deck, is versatile enough that he has multiple viable sideboard plans.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. It's like a force of will on the...
What do you think about that? Like, I kind of...
What is he protecting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's protecting something big. It's hard for me to be upset about a Thoughtseize getting force. You don't even pay the life, and you got 2 cards, and one of them's a Delver. So, like...
And they're good cards, too. It's like, that's like a fantastic 1-mana hymn to Turok, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this might also just be that I've already stripped your maps. Force isn't getting any better.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh,
also, he's holding a pretty good tempo beat there.
Here we go.
Not bad. Not bad.
Okay,
so what is Aaron working with here?
This is Safekeeper, a Dryad Arbor,
What's
Ghost
that
Quarter, and a Stage.
Yeah.
So
Aaron needs
some
way to hit
depths.
depths. Yeah. That's always missing.
What is the picture on that token? Is that the quad laser guy from?
He was explaining this earlier. I can't remember what Mike was rocking. No, I don't think so. It's like he's got like a collection of tokens about impotent like internet memes. Like Like,
Yeah, he has the Uganda Knuckles tokens too.
Yeah,
What?
and like Spoderman was one of his ideas.
Oh my
and
God.
it's just, like, because they're all like dinky 1/1s or whatever. He's just like some.
Those particular ones I asked him about, and he told me that it was a reference to something that I didn't understand. So
Did he say it that way? He's
It's
like,
like a
Ian,
really-
it's a reference to something you don't understand.
It's a
It's
really
like,
hipster
Yeah, Mike's,
conversation.
Mike's kind of a dick about these tokens.
oh man,
I'm gonna
He's-
come out and say it. I don't like that forest art.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
he's turning on Submerge.
Oh shit!
Oh god.
He doesn't.
He's
need
playing
that.
right into his hand.
Here we go. All right. They submerge.
I
your
mean,
Sylvan Safekeeper
what if
with
that is
Hunting-
what Mike was protecting with that force on the Thoughtseize?
If they submerge the Sylvan Safekeeper, does Aaron sack the forest, or does he bounce it and try and replay it? I think I would sack the forest and just keep the Safekeeper in play against the counters deck. Because I mean, like, playing against the Dark Depths combo, the Sylvan Safekeeper makes it so hard to interact
Yeah.
with the 2020.
Makes it so hard to interact with this already almost impossible to interact
Yeah.
with deck.
You're basically screwed. Even if you have the relevant, like, sack answers.
I almost think if Mike is using removal on the Safekeeper, you just don't care. You're just like,
Yeah,
all right, fine.
It's not a Hex Mage. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do like that Urborg makes this a DIY Bayou. He's saving a shitload of money on that Bayou right now.
Yeah, dude.
Although the way beta basic lands have been spiking.
Yeah.
Are they spiking? I haven't even been paying attention.
Yeah, I asked Logan the other day how much a beta forest was, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's $15." And I was like,
Damn.
I mean, and that's even the worst land. What's
Yeah, you're
what is
right.
what does an
It's the
island
weakest-
cost?
Weakest basic.
What is a mountain?
Probably millions.
That sucks.
but I mean, if you're playing basic mountains, you should just be playing Arabian Nights ones.
What do those cost? That's the real question.
$50.
damn.
What the fuck? Are you
Oh
kidding
my god.
me? Are you serious?
All right,
Of
so
course
we
no-
see
There's the Wasteland, Fun
Ancient
Police.
Grudge, and then there's a blue card off screen.
There's, yeah.
What do we think? What kind of blue tech is he?
It could be that Submerge trying to ruin our shit.
I don't think it's.
It looks
What
like a
if
new
it
border
is?
to me.
If it is. What if there's a new border printing of it that we don't
Is
know
there?
about?
So he
Oh,
takes it.
he's
Whatever.
pushing it a little
Yeah.
further.
Oh, it's a force, okay.
Takes it with no other blue card.
Well,
But
yeah,
well,
I mean, this
so-
is the shitload of cantrips.
I
that he
can't take Wasteland. Doesn't want to. Well, I mean,
Ancient Grudge seems...
take away an Ancient Grudge.
I mean, taking Ancient Grudge does nothing because flashback.
Right, but at least you wouldn't have half.
That's true.
So he copied something just now with the.
So
Grudge.
this might be the preemptive copy basic land to protect it from Wasteland.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, what... Alright, so help me out with this. It copies a basic land, but it keeps the copy ability.
Yes.
So now,
So
when
it's
he goes to combo, it can't be wastelanded.
That's
in
correct.
Ooh.
So
Damn!
it's a basic forest that has the Thespian stage ability.
Wow, that's so good. It's a really good force.
Oh, dang it.
This is also really sick tech against, like, Back to Basics or Blood Moon.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just...
You do either one back and forth. Choose the. So good. 2 mana, a Braid. Does he let it go?
Yeah.
It depends on if he has lands in hand. Because if one of these forests is just expendable at this point, then like, I would my intuition would say keep the Safekeeper in play because then you're safe against Edict. You're safe against any spot bounce removal.
What do you think about losing Urborg there? I don't know.
Does he need the black mana for anything at this point? I mean, I
Well,
guess
it
he
helps
rips the
just
Hex
tapping
Mage.
for stage, right? Like, and if he rips a Hex... I mean, I guess the Hex Mage matters less now because he's got the invincible stage,
Yeah.
but...
See, this is why you want to play Stifle. Stop stuff like that happening. Joke.
I think this might be one of the few matchups where Stifle and Grixis Delver is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because against a lot of other matchups, it doesn't do much other than stop their fetch lands, which
Did he cast that?
Oh, man.
my god.
Man, tempo beats.
Dude, he's gonna... Well, and so there's really not even that much. He's at 15. The marker's kind of screwing us here, but 15.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
like-
not even that much pressure. Like, he can kind of just hang. I think. I mean, unless suddenly this gets way out of hand, but he's not even.
Mike's at 11. He might even be able to start attacking. I mean, if,
Yeah.
if Mike wants to double block with elemental tokens, that's just fine, right? Because that takes some turns off the clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Trading like what would essentially be a dead card for some
Just
basic
time,
yeah,
right?
some
Like-
time, yeah, because it's not even resources at this point.
So, the Wasteland. I mean, do we even care about? You don't Ghost Quarter that, do you? I mean, does Mike even play the basics?
He does not.
Ooh, fat rip! Look at that, exactly what
boy,
he needed.
here it is.
So
Okay.
now he can just go Ghost Quarter your Wasteland.
Well, it can't even hit the stage, which is the only one that matters.
Yeah.
So you do it just
Just
for
provoke him.
like showboating.
Yeah, it's
And
just
then he's like-
daggers.
I mean, when you know that your opponent's not playing any basic lands, there's no downside.
Yeah. Well, and when your plan is to play a Pithing Needle main deck on Wasteland, having your own Wasteland is an iffy call.
So there's literal, because even if he has the Diabolic Edict,
Right. He can
Merit
just
Rage
sacrifice
still
one of his
lives.
other creatures.
and if he's got directed like bounce or removal, Merit Rage just eats a forest. So Aaron's in a good spot for this one.
Pretty much.
He's got the Safekeeper. He's got an extra guy for Edict.
Not at all.
That's pretty sick. Being able to copy a basic land to
Yeah.
make the stage, because Ghost Quartering the Dark Depths doesn't do anything, or like Wastelanding the Dark Depths doesn't do anything.
Basically,
Right.
you need a sweep. You need like an upheaval. That's what you need right now. It's just bounce everything.
Let's see.
So yeah, Brainstorm.
He did get to a fourth, whatever meme that is, token. I think it's a Aqua 2 Knocker Force thing. I can't be sure.
I don't know if it might be.
Is he scooping? We got there!
Oh,
We got there!
Delver takes the bug, gets squashed.
So what? I'm curious. You know, so obviously SCG, Worcester is how you say
Worcester,
it, right?
yes.
You know, it was what 11 copies out of the top 32.
It was a tour de force of
and
Grixis
9 of them were the same 60 or so. So
Jesus.
Really?
yeah. So what do you think about?
It's like he did bring in the abrupt decays.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder what those are for in theory.
Maybe just removing some of the clock.
Opposing Pithing Needle.
Oh maybe.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, took out a bunch of discard. It looks like. So I mean, what do you? Everyone on Reddit, of course, is blowing up about bannings. Do you think that's necessary, desirable? What's
For Death Right Shaman?
Well, just for anything. Obviously, some people are saying brainstorm, and I almost don't think that discussion's worth having because it's pretty
Probably never
clear
gonna
that
happen.
it's just like off the table.
So I don't actually think that the SCG top 8s are very representative of the Legacy format in general.
Because they're so regional.
Partially that, and partially I think it's because those top 8s are generally really stacked with really good players who like to play sort of even matchup decks like Grixis Delver because they're relying on their skill
Right.
to win just whatever they get paired against.
That's fair.
Whereas I think that in general, Legacy has a lot more of people just playing what they want,
Mm.
either because it's what they've been playing for years or because they don't want to drop $2,000 on Underground Seas
Right.
or whatever. And so I think that if you look at like the top 32 or top 64 or whatever of those tournaments, you're going to see way less Grixis Delver than you are just specifically in the top 8. But I haven't actually done my research on that. That's just kind of my general feeling.
Yeah, I haven't like sifted through the numbers like too carefully, but I don't
Same logic though.
yeah.
I know that like locally,
Our
I
local
haven't-
meta
I
is a
haven't
mess,
played-
but-
I haven't played against Grixis Delver in like actual months.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
It's because we're just a band of degenerates around here.
Yeah, it's just like fast combo hellscape. that-
Fast combo and like weird dream decks.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be that like Saturdays at Pat's were like Maverick D&T shit show, and if you tried to play combo, you just ran into this like wall of bullshit. And now it's like if you survive to turn 2, maybe you get to play Magic.
Yeah, it was like
we had almost as much Thalia in our local meta as there is Deathrite Shaman in
Yeah.
the general meta.
Hello.
Hello.